All right, hello everyone. We're going to have a Bible time first, and the topic is grace. And that's the one word that I want to continue to talk about and emphasize today. Do you guys enjoy having freedom? Freedom is an awesome thing. If you have freedom, you can do whatever you want. Well, not really, but we'll kind of start from there. What kind of freedom do you want to have? If I were to ask that question to people around me, they will probably say, oh, if I could have any freedom in the world, I want to have the freedom of being able to play video games all day and all night without having to go to school. Or other people would say, oh, if I can have all the freedom in the world, I would want to eat ice cream for meals and drink soda for water. Would you like that? Or for those of you guys who do not yet have a phone yet, if I can have my own phone and if I have no restrictions on my phone time and download all the apps and games that I want on my phone and just play with my phone all day, they would be a greatest freedom. You know, it all sounds great, but let me remind you one thing. With every freedom, we make choices, right? Freedom, we make choices, and whenever we make choices, there's also responsibility that follows. You guys get that? Every choice, every freedom accompanies a sense of responsibility. Sometimes people have all the freedom in their world, but we human beings do not end up happy despite all the freedom that we have in the world. You know why? Because we're missing one thing. And that one thing is freedom from sin. Let's look at verse 10 and let's read it together at the count of three. 1, 2, 3. For the person who keeps all the laws except for one is as guilty as a person who has broken all God's laws. If you imagine you take a test and you only get one problem wrong, right? That will still probably place you at the range of an A, right? But God says, you know, the person who keeps all of the laws and that person broke only one law, that person is as guilty as a person who has broken every single one of God's laws. Have you broken any of God's laws? Have you ever lied? Have you ever cheated on your tests or homework? Have you ever fought or hit your siblings? Have you ever hated a person or friend in your heart? The answer is yes for everyone. We all have sinned. And the Bible says we all fall short of the glory of God. We have a problem, guys. For God, breaking one law is equivalent to breaking all of the laws. And we all have this problem of sin, and we have to have freedom from sin. That is the reality that you and I face and everyone faces in their lives. We all need the freedom from sin. And let's look at what verse 12 tells us. It says, so whatever you say or whatever you do, remember that you will be judged by the law that sets you free. Have you guys ever broken a law, like law in this country? I remember a time I was driving up to San Francisco back when I was younger, when I was taking much more risks. I used to, no one should do this, but sometimes I would speed in my car, and I got pulled over by this police officer. I broke the law, right? And I became so scared. So as soon as I pull over, I do all the right things. I turn off the engine of my car. I put my hands on the steering wheel, and I roll down the window. I have everything ready, my driver's license, my insurance, my car registration. The officer walks up to me, and I tell him, officer, I'm really sorry, I sped, right? And when I acknowledged all of my wrongdoings, my faults, the officer was actually really nice. You know why I was so nice to the officer? I am so scared of going to jail. You're probably not going to go to jail for speeding, but I do not want to break any law. I do not want to go to jail, and I don't even like to park illegally. I always tell my family members who have a tendency to break small laws, I don't like that. If you're not supposed to make a U-turn, then don't make the U-turn. If you're not supposed to park, then don't park there, right? But we consider law as something that is restricting us, right? Something that tells us we can't do certain things, otherwise we are going to face these consequences, right? Law is something that none of us like. I keep the laws, but I don't like the laws. But this verse is telling us the law that sets you free. You're thinking, no law in this world sets us free. If anything, it restricts us, it takes our freedom away. But this law of God actually sets us free. Don't you want to have that law, and don't you want to have that freedom for us? And for today's sermon, you can kind of forget about everything that I've said so far. And I just want to drill down, and I just want to make some connections to these three words. Now, can we show the next slide? Everyone repeat after me. Freedom, gift, and grace. Yeah, I just want to kind of make some connections, and that's it for today, right? We kind of talked about freedom, and this law gives us freedom. But guess what? None of us can perfectly keep all the laws, and we all have broken one or more laws. So we realize that, okay, I am the same person as who has broken all of the laws. So in order for me to have the right relationship with God, I can't do it. I've already messed up, and I need the salvation, I need the grace of God given to me as a gift. Do we get that? As a gift, right? Do you guys love receiving gifts? I love receiving gifts, and gift has nothing to do with me. I always used to ask my parents when I was young, Mom and Dad, for Christmas, what kind of gift am I gonna get? And I was not even a Christian back then, right? But for Christmas, I really wanted this gift. And my parents would always tell me, it's not your birthday, it's Jesus' birthday. Why should you get the gift, right? And the Christmas gift has nothing to do with my birthday or whatever I've done. Gift is about the gift giver. And the word grace, I think, really reflects the word gospel. When we hear the word gospel, I don't really know what it means. Like, what is the gospel? But when I hear the word grace, it makes sense. What is grace? It is unmerited favor. There's no merit on my part, and grace is given to me not because of what I have done, but despite of what I have done. The two words that I like the most in the Bible, apart from the word gospel or Jesus or those words, the two words that I love the most are these two words, freedom and grace, because that's what we have received. And it says in the verse, can we see the next slide, please? It says, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God. I hope that verse makes sense. Now that if you have received the grace, God is actually asking us one thing. Now that you have received grace, you live by grace. Can we see the next slide? And could you guys repeat after me? Saved by grace. Now live with grace. I'm just going to give one example about living with grace and we'll close. Usually when you are meeting somebody and you buy a drink or you buy a meal, usually what kind of pattern do you follow with your friends? I mean, with your parents, they always pay, it's kind of not fair. But if it's with your friends, what kind of pattern do you follow? I buy once, and then you buy once, right? And if I buy 2 times or 3 consecutive times, I probably don't want to meet up with you anymore, right? That's how we operate. But living by grace means freely I have received and freely I give. That's the life of grace. So for us Christians, it's not a give and take. It's not a you buy once and I buy once type of life. It's this life of I have received so much and I want to live a life of grace. That's our Christian life. 오늘은